Welcome to the Fatu Network News Review today, Tuesday, 18th of June 2019. I am Omar Wali. Educator and educational entrepreneur Mrs. Nao has passed away. Basse Magistrates Court remained 23 people in custody, and Gambians react to the Interior Minister's comment. And we also have a story on the TRRC. But before all that, I will start with the papers. And the Standard newspaper is saying that 3S Jotna asked Interior Minister to resign. The 3S Jotna had a rapidly growing activist group in the country calling for President Barrow to respect his campaign promise to step down after 3 years, has demanded the resignation of the Interior Minister, Mr. Ibrahim Ambalo. The minister was widely quoted at a recent Barrow fan club rally as saying that the government has newly purchased water cannon trucks that will spread hot water on anyone who resorts to rudeness. The minister was also quoted to have said the new water cannon was purchased for the use on the protesters who are bent on disrupting the peace and tranquility of the country. But speaking to the Standard newspaper, Fatu Konta, the public relations officer of the movement, that is the 3S Jotna, has said that the reckless and the dangerous remark made by the Interior Minister to immediately vacate the public office he is holding now. Mr. Mbalo should be arrested or at least sacked for threatening the Gambian people. Imagine a cabinet minister threatening Gambians that they have brought a hot water to pour on them. Such a person is not fit to be a Gambian minister. He is not qualified to run that office. Fatu Konta told the Standard newspaper. And the Standard is also saying that the National Intelligence Agency defense lawyer requests for a week adjournment. The Justice Kumba Silla Kamara yesterday granted a week's adjournment to the lawyer for the former operations commander of the National Intelligence Agency, Sheikh Omar Jeng, in order to file a reply on points of law after the state prosecutors submitted their response on the case of no submission to the application. According to the defense lawyer, Kenita, the prosecution has not established any case to call for his client, Sheikh Omar Jeng, to open his defense, and therefore he wanted to make no case to answer submission. When the case was called, lawyer Kenneth told the court that he wanted an adjournment to allow him to reply on the point of law, since the prosecution was late to reply the case to the no case application. And the Standards also say that 95% of Gambians in Germany will eventually be deported. A member of the German Federal Parliament from the Bundes Manuel Halle was on an official visit to the asylum case have been rejected, saying sooner or later will be legally requested to leave the country. The German said that Gambians illegally living in the country, illegally living in the country will be deported. The German MP made this remark in the Standard interview on the sidelines of the National Stakeholders Forum on Migration hosted by the National Youth Council and a Gambian support agency, the Cornad Ademen Safit, based in Dakar, the national conference. Since 2017, over 4,000 Gambians are reported to have voluntarily returned from migrant transiting countries in Africa, while many deported from Italy and Germany. And the ex-APRC MP narrates ordeal at the hands of her own government, that is Mrs. Duda Kamaso, a retired politician and a former APRC National Assembly member, has been telling the Truth Commission about her arrest in 2006 by agents of the National Intelligence Agency for allegedly leaking information to Freedom newspaper of Pat Nderimbai in the United States, among other false accusations. The former NAM recalled that she was arrested on her way from Dakar, where her son was taken for a treatment before being escorted by an NIA agent from Amdalai to Bara Station. and then to the major crime unit in Banjul. She said she was later escorted to NIA office in Banjul, headed by Mr. Harry Sambu, where she was taken before a panel of 8 men who subjected her to a thorough interrogation. She said the agent asked if she was corresponding for Panderimbai and the Freedom newspaper, and further inquired if she had any problems with Yankuba Toure and Fatoumata Jahumba Sise. She said she could not tell who was responsible for her arrest, but she knew she was not on good terms with some members of the APRC, namely Fatoumata Jahumba Sise and Yankuba Toure, which she said could have triggered her arrest. That's what the Standard newspaper is reporting, and the point is also saying that United Democratic Party disassociates itself from Operation 3 Years Jotna. The leader of the United Democratic Party, Usainu Dabo, has made it clear that his party is not behind Operation 3 Years Jotna. Dabo was speaking recently in an interview with a Brikama-based radio station, Membe Kering, on the issue about the party's Central Committee meeting and the Operation 3 Years Jotna protests among a host of issues. The UDP leader said people who want to associate with the issue of 3 Years Jotna protests close to their party are just tarnishing the UDP's image. I can tell you that UDP as a party is not supporting 3 Years Jotna. In fact, if we are supporting the 3 Years Jotna as a party, we would have announced it and the entire world will know about it. That's what Mr. Usainu Dabo told the Membe Kering, and the story was carried by the Point newspaper. That's all we have for you on this point, and we will now turn to a story that we have received information that Mrs. Harriet Nao, widely known as Mrs. Nao, has passed away today. Born in 1926, Mrs. Nao was an educator and educational entrepreneur. This was Mrs. Nao in 2014 after receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry during its Business Award dinner, courtesy of GCCI. Let's take a listen.
I am Dr. Mrs. Harriet Nao. I was educated at St. Joseph Primary and Secondary School. After my secondary education, I was given a scholarship to Achimota College in Ghana during the 40s. I became the Girl Guide Commissioner, a member of the Women's Federation, and the president of St. Joseph Ex-People Association. During this period, I was very active because a woman at my time was not easy to go to higher education or to travel. But I did quite a lot of traveling, representing my country in different parts of the world as a woman. After all this, I became a teacher and developed to a head teacher, later an education officer. Because of my influence all over the world with people who are volunteering to help their own country, I decided that I should help my own country, especially at a time when we were having independence. And the president then was one of my colleagues when I was at Achimota. This made me very, very, very hardworking, helpful. I devoted all my life. In fact, I started the school in the village with 4 children. And gradually it increased until it became a permanent school at Kairaba. Now I have 7 schools, daycare, nursery, primary, junior secondary, senior secondary, and I have 5,000 children.
South Africa Global is pleased to launch Dalaba Housing Estate. Dalaba Housing Estate is our newest estate located on the Sukuta Jabang Road. You can buy a finished 2 or 3 bedroom house or service plots accompanied with a free fence and gate.
That was Mrs. Harriet Nao there speaking in 2014 after receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. May her soul rest in peace. The Gambia Truth Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, like many other truth commissions around Africa, was conceived and established to, among other things, promote national healing through truth-telling. Since the coming into existence last year, TRRC has had many truths, and some of these truths and some of the truths have generated heated debates in some quarters. And the debate over whether implicated serving members of the country's security forces in an ongoing truth and reconciliation exercise should be allowed to serve in the security forces or should be allowed to serve in the country's security forces refuse to die down. Momodu Justice Dabo reports.
The TRRC has had several witness testimonies, and in some of these testimonies, names of some serving members of the Gambia Armed Forces and other security establishments have been adversely mentioned in connection to instances of gross rights abuses against Gambians. TRRC witnesses gave chilling accounts of how some serving members of the country's security forces allegedly participated or tacitly endorsed acts of killings and torture of citizens during the 22-year rule of Yahya Jammeh. The serving officers have been accused by politicians, former government officials, and their own comrades, both past and present, of varying degrees of human rights abuses. A serving Army Lieutenant General once told TRRC that he could not come to terms with serving in the same army with the man who inflicted on him pain and lifelong scars. General Babukar Sanya wasn't able to hide his feelings when he told the TRRC that it was difficult working with a man who tortured and humiliated him. He was referring to Alhaji Martin, who is now a senior member of the Gambia Armed Forces. This and many other testimonies before the TRRC continue to generate the vexed question of whether serving security officers implicated in right abuses should remain in the security forces, collecting salaries while their alleged victims struggle with their scars. Lawyer Usainu Dabo, leader of the Gambia's largest political party, would have dismissed all those uniformed men accused of crimes or atrocities in the ongoing TRRC. If I were the president today, those uniformed officers would not have been in their offices today. I would have sent them home, and after the investigations, we will decide what to do with them. They should not remain there collecting salaries while their victims are suffering. That is not correct, unquote. But responding to calls for implicated serving members of the country's security forces to be sent packing, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Ba Tambadu, says the outcome of the TRRC investigation should not be preempted.
People have been mentioned at the TRRC, and a lot more will continue to be mentioned at the TRRC. The point is this. Do you want to establish the truth first and foremost? Or do you want to preempt what the TRRC will conclude in respect of those who have been mentioned? How do you balance the issue of due process? At the same time, of course, at the same time, we need to be worried about those who have been mentioned, certainly, but we also need to provide them with an opportunity to be heard. Like we have heard some of the others who've come forward, who are still serving and have admitted to participating in these atrocities. Others need to be heard as well. So we need to approach this with caution and not rush things, because we are in a position of responsibility and we need to take this responsibility seriously. Yeah? That's my response to your first question.
But according to Pa Samba Jau, a famous Gambian political and social commentator, reconciliation must not be pushed to the people.
I believe that you cannot have reconciliation without justice. I believe that 100%. I also understand the principle of innocence until proven guilty. But I think if there is credible information that somebody who now works in the government had been engaged in human rights violations, I think the decent thing to do is to at least send that person on administrative leave until at such time that the truth can be established. And I know that the commission would sometimes send letters to those that have been adversely mentioned to come and appear. But I don't think it would help. Let's say, for example, if you are a general in the army, you are a very powerful position. You've been mentioned so many times. You have the powers and the chance to be able to even undermine investigations that may affect you. So this is why I believe that in the interest of justice and fair play, those who have been credibly adversely mentioned should at least be sent on administrative leave until at such time that the facts are established. If they're exonerated, they can come back to their positions. If they are not, they should be prosecuted.
Meanwhile, the debate over implicated serving officers has also begged the question of whether the TRRC will succeed in its quest in promoting forgiveness through truth-telling. Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, this is Mamadou Justice Dabo.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm going to replace my AfriCell 3G SIM card.
Why use a 3G SIM card when you have a 4G phone? Replace your 3G SIM card today for the real AfriCell 4G SIM and receive 1 GB of internet data for free.
The Basse Magistrates Court on Monday ordered remanded in custody 23 people charged with arson and other related offenses. The suspects stand accused of spreading May 25th caste-related violence between the so-called nobles and the so-called slaves in the Upper River region town of Koina. Our editor Lamin Jai was in Basse and now reports.
The suspects numbered 23. They have been accused by the police of inciting violence, arson and assault. They arrived in court in a police truck as early as 10 a.m. Scores of people, mostly family and friends, turned up to see what was going to happen next to their loved ones. The case, however, could not proceed following an argument.
The argument was on whether this court has the power to try a case involving arson. Arson, according to Gambian law, is punishable by up to life imprisonment.
The argument started after the police prosecutor, MD Mbalo, made an application for the case to be transferred to the Special Criminal Division of the High Court, as one of the charges against the accused persons involved arson. Arson is a very serious crime, a capital offense at that, and carries a life imprisonment sentence, and a person accused of the crime cannot be granted bail. The police prosecutor cited the Constitution and various sections of the Criminal Procedure Code to support his argument that the Basse Magistrates Court was not empowered to try the case. The lawyer representing 14 of the accused persons, Khadija Jallo, rejected the prosecutor's claims and said the court can in fact try the case. He also cited the Constitution and various sections of the Criminal Procedure Code to support her argument. In the end, the magistrate Omar Jabang adjourned the case to June 24th for a ruling over whether the lower court has the power to try the case. He also ordered that the accused persons be remanded in custody. A fortnight ago, the nation woke up to the news of an outbreak of another caste-related clashes in the Upper River region, this time in Koina, in which houses were set ablaze and properties vandalized. Scores were also injured during the violence. The police later rounded up and detained nearly 24 people suspected of involvement in the rampage. Lamin Jai, the Fatu Network News Review.
Hello?
Hello?
Waaye ma call ak different line di nu fa demee noonu xanaa.
Ma téléphone bi dafa daanu toj. Ba pare nangu ta taal.
Waaw ok léegi lu ma def mooy instead of my yónnee phone bi. Di ko jox nit muy jël i1 month naa la booleeg smartphone house ñoom su ma defee payment bi tey mun nga koo jëli.
Naa fa jaar. Man na nekk téléphone bu naay.
Non naa la surprise ay tamit xam nga yow rek laa nam.
Yow mi nekk America wala Europe war a yónnee mobile muy jël ay weer smartphone house ñëw pour rek noppal leen looy def rek mooy nga def payment ñu deliver phone bi tey.
Asalaamaaleykum.
Maaleykum asalaam.
Man de sama jëkkër moo ma boole ak yéen. Mohamed Ndiaye.
Mohamed Ndiaye.
waaw Sweden.
maa ma waxamoon tey si suba.
waaw daf ma call suma téléphone bi yaaxu mu ne ma demal smartphone house ma ne ko waaye loolu gaaw na ni mu ne ma demal rek.
moom utal na la fi benn. mooy iPhone 8 Plus.
Masha Allah.
ak smartphone house emuñ ci jaay mobile rek waaye dañuy jaay computer ay yére ak daala yi nga xam ne rek original lañ ba tax nag ku bugg a xam fi nga xam ne mooy smartphone house da nga dem Kairaba Avenue opposite fi nga xam ne mooy Barcelona shop.
In reference to the Koina story, Mohamed Kurubali, the man at the center of the recent Koina caste disturbances, has been charged with incitement of violence but was released on bail after spending 20 days in police custody. The prosecution said The prosecution has applied for his case to be stood down until such a time they can get a legal advice from the Attorney General chambers as to whether he should be prosecuted or not. Now, rumors of the armored tanks being brought into the country by the government has been dismissed as false by the Minister of Interior, Mr. Ibrahim Mbalo. The social media have been recently inundated with rumors that the Gambian authorities has acquired armored vehicles to quell planned protests to be organized by members of Operation 3Years Jotna movement to force President Adama Barrow out of office. Members of 3Years Jotna are adamant that come December this year, they will spearhead a campaign of resistance to President Barrow's ambition of staying in office until 2021. But according to Interior Minister Ibrahim Mbalo, the government did not bring any armored tank to disperse the proposed December protest rallies. What the government succeeded in bringing into the country is a hot water tank. He said the tank will be used against those who break the law by engaging in unlawful protests. But what did the people say about this, about the Interior Minister's stress? Let's take a listen.
Ndefe manjari jikandi fayola because Gambian tella tamati adu Gambian tella bakilim fakilim wolde te ngamara ko nyenda ka sile ka kacha nali ya kacha maybe ko do be jeni ma kacha bu ko tano bar dol be jeni o kacha maybe al damal si ñomoy no yo sa en kacha man ko men bando nin ko bakala fitinote nde ngamara Gambia do ta pour ka fitinoke ha because jikando me ka fote maybe ni ya fay na mayte badi ngoma asinte badi ngoma asido fana badi ngoma asibaro fa badi ngoma non sa ni misunderstanding fana nata ñin dulte tema ñaje ji fay ko be kala jente fe ñomoy bal yalem e ñanta silale kacha Gambian telle ma tati tellata mu Gambiat ndanga mi romanca kuti mi yalon ko anyanta kaci kanto be mu Gambian no leti babaro aba sirin hanama dingulle Gambian no le jang aba sirin to le jang oto nin ko mi na ñanta silala nin banku duniya kacha ani yafo amanya na sotola Gambia din kile man toro kono le fem bata bul ni mi man diay ata kana man toro la mol kam wala ñanta man toro la mol kan min yalon ko man hanama dingu ñantolo barate mo ñantolon ata ñantalon al fana ani mol bitala silo min oto jikando ñi ay wolandi tonko ngoto do mandi nay kacha nay ñomuy kacha la sindi o kacha nabita wala nakabi nga kacha nga ñomuy jikando ay wolandi nya folo.
I would like to tell all Gambians youth to keep calm and know that Gambia is belong to all. It's not belong to individuals. What we saw at the Brikama during our president rally, according to the Interior Minister, was saying that December, if anybody come out and protest for the 3 years Jotna slogan, I don't know actually who initiated that. But for my own opinion, what he said, I don't really support it. Because Gambia is our Gambia. I don't belong to any party, but I'm 100% militant of the President Adama Barrow. But what I'm saying to all Gambians and all people holding a position in the government, let them keep calm and know that the government is owned by everybody. Gambia, Swing Gambia. But to take that initiative that they will use this, how to call it, that motto, whatever they call it, I don't support it, to be frank. It's not even a good idea.
Gambians, they are reacting to the remarks made by the country's Interior Minister, Mr. Ibrahim Mbalo there. Viewers, that's all we have for you today. From me and my team, we thank you so much. Till tomorrow.